Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to The Gutters, my personal audio journal. At least that's what it's become anyway. This is where I talk about the things that are not comic books. That's the usual feed of the Longbox Review podcast. So what have I been up to? It's been, I think it's been about a month since, it's been just over a month at the time of this recording. It is December 8th as I record this, and it's been a month since I've last done one of these. I meant to do, my plan is always do these, or was to do these every 2 weeks, but then that would have put me right before Thanksgiving, and I already knew that I would have things to talk about regarding Thanksgiving for what we were doing. And so I'll just jump right to that. So Thanksgiving, my younger daughter, Brittany, decided kind of last minute that her husband, and their daughter would travel north to our home and have Thanksgiving, even though the plan all along was for us to go down to where she lived. But certain things happened, and she decided that they would make the trek up here, which was great because my newest granddaughter, Hadley, is now 16, almost, she'll be 17 months old here in just a couple weeks, or less than 2 weeks now. But, I adore that little girl. It was nice having her around it was about 3.5 days, that we got to spend time with my daughter and her daughter, and that was lovely. This is the equivalent of a grandparent showing all the pictures, maybe, of the grandchildren to everybody who will look. I guess I can only gush for so long, but that little girl just warms my heart like almost nothing I've ever known. Of course, my daughter Brittany does that as well. I love spending time with her. She's a wonderful young lady, and she's turning out to be such a great mother, and I really respect her for what she's doing for her daughter and her family. Anyway, we had a great time. We mostly just kind of sat around. We went out to eat quite a bit, even though it was Thanksgiving as well. During that time, we definitely gorged ourselves, which I don't like to do, but oh well. I guess Thanksgiving is one of those times that you can, I guess, allow yourself to do that. At least I do anyway. But it certainly jump-started me to bring my bicycle in and put it on the trainer. So for the last few weeks, I have been, I guess it's only been a little more than a week that I've been getting up. I get up during the week at about between 5 and 5:15 in the morning, and then I come downstairs in my office and I pedal for about 30 minutes. Though I have been to pass the time, I read like a trade, almost a trade. So 4 or 5 comics in one sitting as I spin and spin and spin. But I'll talk about that in the main feed, the main comic book feed. Eventually, I'm sure. I'm not going to talk about every book that I read, but anyway. Like I said, all that food and drink, all that gorging, I decided I better get a jump start on my exercising for the winter. And then what came next after Thanksgiving, and I was very sad. I noticed this. There's a pattern whenever we go visit my daughter, and we leave to come back home. I seem to get kind of moody, kind of cranky. And this time when she left here, there was no exception. That next day, or the rest of that day, that after she left, I was just kind of had a black cloud hanging over me. But whatever. So we plan to go down to her house for just after Christmas to spend my birthday. So at least I have that to look forward to. But I'll come back to my birthday in a second. Right after Thanksgiving, just a few days after Thanksgiving, was my granddaughter Madison's birthday, and she turned 13. And I just wanted to note that. So if anybody has listened to the podcast, the comic book podcast feed, the main feed, you'll know you'll recognize Madison's name. She was actually on an episode talking about Raina Telgemeyer's Smile book with me directly, but I featured her before, and sometimes her sister whenever we go to Rose City Comic Con or Emerald City Comic Con. But so she's Madison has just turned 13, and she is the comic book kid in our household. I've been reading comics now for 40 years, just over 40 years, and I try to get all my kids involved. Between my wife and I, we only had 2 children, but then our older daughter, she started having kids way younger than we would have liked, and certain things happened, and we ended up with her first 2 girls, Gabriella and Madison. So anyway, like I said, Madison turned 13. That means she has been living with us for 12 years now. So she came to live with us on December 31st, 12 years ago. She was 13 months old. Oh, that's interesting. She was 13 months old when she arrived, and she's now 13. Numbers are always fun, right? But yeah, so she has just grown to be interested in comic books and art and superheroes and things like that, and drawing. She really likes to draw and color things. So she, I've really bonded with her quite a bit because of that, and I just love her. So happy birthday, Madison. Like I mentioned, though, my birthday's coming. It's at the end of December. I will be turning the big 50 this year. So, whatever. But like I said, I will be spending that time with my daughter and her daughter and Gabby and Maddie and my wife and my daughter's husband, all together, down where they live. So I will at least have that. I really wanted to my wife wanted to like throw a big party for me. And I don't really want to do that. All I want to do is spend time with my kids, my family. So, but I'm sure we're doing something. I know my wife's planning something. I just don't know what exactly, but regardless, that's what we will be doing right after Christmas. So that's cool. However, December, I hate December. There's a few reasons for that. One, well, it's my birthday, and as the older I get, the more I am realizing my mortality. Not a fun thing to contemplate, kids. I don't recommend it. But beyond that, it's also contains the anniversaries of my mother's and my younger sister's deaths. So here in the next couple weeks, it's funny. Both my mom and my sister were born on the same day, December 10th. And then they died within a week of each other, years apart, of course, but a week of each other. So, and that's, yeah, so, not a fun time, for me. I try to make the best of it, and my family's really good about that. But anyway, I hate December. Not the least of which is for that stuff, but also it's cold, and I hate the cold. The older I get, I hate the cold. But anyway, that's what it is. Other things that's going on. Work. Oh boy, work. I talked to I think 2 Gutters episodes ago about some stuff going on at work with a particular individual. But now is some new challenges. There's a bunch of changes going on. I got a new boss about a little over a year ago, and he wants to make some changes in how we do things, or at least he's challenging me to make some changes to meet some goals that our division has set. And he's pretty serious about those. Whereas previous bosses I've had might talk about that stuff, but they really didn't push it. And so I've kind of skated by for many years on that kind of stuff. And they kind of left me to my own devices, but my latest boss is a little more focused on things like this. So kind of forces me to be focused on these things. So a lot of changes coming, quality changes. I don't want to bore anybody, but I basically live in spreadsheets, looking at spreadsheets all day long, and other things where I'm managing my department's workload and whatnot, things like that. So a lot of different changes coming. And I more recently, so my department is basically an editing literature production department. So we take care of the manuals for my company's products. And more recently here in the last several months, the development groups who create the products that we do the manuals for, they have been wanting to improve the way that they develop the manuals, the literature for their products. And I'm like, okay, that's no problem. Let's work it out. Let's figure out the best way to make things work for you and for my department. And so we tried a few things and things didn't go so great. Some things are okay. Just the usual chaos of trying to come up with a new process for doing things. Well, then this other group came along and said, hey, we want to do something different with the literature development. I'm like, okay. And then another group, like all within a couple months of all this. So they wanted to do something else too. I'm like, okay, time out. Let's talk about this. And so I talked to my boss about all these different ideas and my desire to hopefully come up with, a general process that everyone would be mostly happy with. You're not going to please everybody, but come up with some sort of one size fits all type approach so that my team doesn't have to support what would be 4 different ways of producing things and using 4 different processes, 4 different tool sets. I didn't want to have to support that. So my boss helped me along with this and went to management, and they came back and said, okay, get these bunch of people together and you go lead a steering committee for how to do this. And we've had a couple meetings, and just yesterday, this is Saturday as I record this, yesterday my boss pulls me into a conference room to tell me real quick that he had another discussion with our vice president, and our vice president wanted me to know that he wants to ensure that, 1, I'm leading this group, and 2, that I'm coming up with something that will be good not only for the development groups that my team supports, but also works for my team. And I'm thinking, how the hell do I do that? Because my approach so far has been, let's get these development teams together and start talking to each other and figuring out how they can use the existing tools and maybe standardize on something that they can agree on. And then I would figure out how my team could support that, which probably is still going to be my approach, but I'm a little concerned about it. It's one of those be careful what you wish for situations, because now I feel like executive management is looking to me to solve this situation, which they were before, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more attention to it now, and I'm feeling a little leery about it. In fact, there was this event I'll talk about in a minute that we went to last night, and pretty much half the time I was thinking about work instead of paying attention to this event, which ticked me off. And so I kind of got into a bad mood last night. But anyway, so like I said, be careful what you wish for, because here I am and I got to figure out how to do this thing. And I feel pretty ignorant about a lot of this stuff. I'm still trying to learn the development group's processes and their tools and trying to make sense of all this stuff. And I think I kind of realized last night, I don't need to do that. I just need to help move it along and then in the meantime, trying to figure out the right questions to ask. So, if you have any experience with literature development, XML, content management systems, LaTeX or LaTeX, depending on how you pronounce that, hit me up. Maybe we should talk. But anyway, that's work. Not looking forward to the next, 6 months. Okay, so here's the part of the show where I'll stop talking about me and, well, sort of, and give you some entertainment recommendations for things that I've watched or listened to or whatever that I think are, worthwhile. The first thing is this Netflix movie. It was, what do they call it? Netflix exclusive? I don't know. Whatever. Netflix made this movie. Whatever that proper term is. It's called The Outlaw King. And it starred, oh my gosh, Chris Pine from Star Trek and other movies. He played Robert the Bruce. So if you're familiar with Scottish history at all, if you've seen the movie Braveheart with Mel Gibson, you'll recognize Robert the Bruce. That character was in Braveheart. Braveheart himself, William Wallace, does not. Well, he does appear in a way in this movie, but not as any kind of a main character at all, or really any kind of a character. But I thought this was a really good movie. Chris Pine really threw himself into the role. I'm a dumb American, so he sounded like a Scottish person with his accent. So I don't know. Maybe if anybody who is Scottish and has watched that movie and disagree with me, please let me know. I'm always curious about that. How American actors, sound doing accents. Because like I said, to us dumb Americans, they sound great, but I'm sure the countries from which they are doing these accents or trying to duplicate those accents, I'm sure the people that live there can point out how incorrect they are. But anyway, I thought it was a good movie. In some ways, I liked it much better than Braveheart, and Braveheart is high on my list of favorite movies ever. So top 5 easily. So it was really good. So I recommend that if you're into history, historical dramas, Scottish history, it was very good. Since we're talking about, I almost made the mistake of saying British entertainment, United Kingdom entertainment. I'm not sure how so I'm going to transition from Scotland to Great Britain. And specifically Doctor Who, the new Doctor Who with Jodie Whittaker. She's the 13th Doctor, is that right? I think so. Anyway, Eccleston was 9, Tennant was 10, 11, 12, yeah, 13. 13th Doctor. Anyway, really been enjoying it. This is the new series, new producers, new cast, new look. I think Jodie Whittaker is doing a bang-up job as the Doctor. She kind of reminds me a little bit of kind of a mix between Tennant and a lot of Matt Smith, like, maybe 20% Tennant and the rest Matt Smith, but with her own little spin, her own spin on it. It's been really good so far, especially like most of the supporting cast. They all fill a niche, but I feel like there's one weak person in the trio that is the companions this season, maybe 2. Anyway, one of the more recent episodes, at least at the time of this recording, I think it was called Demons of the Punjab, which was the historical-based episode. I think it was set in 1947 India, and had to do with the creation of Pakistan and how a lot of people were displaced during that time period. I honestly had no idea about this. So it was a big surprise to me. And, and I love learning about stuff, and to discover something this late in my life about the world around me like that was just a lot of fun for me. But, I realize I'm saying these things about, a lot of bad things happen during that time period in that area. And they kind of touched on a little bit in the episode. And then they had a bit of a sci-fi element involved. Of course you have to have that, but, mostly it was the historical stuff, the family drama aspects of that particular episode made that one, pretty high on my list of episodes for this season so far. And then, I watched this documentary. It's something that my dad recommended to me. He watched it. It's on Netflix. I think it's called The Minimalists. Believe that's correct. So there's these two guys who basically wrote a book, and then they've written several books since then. They have a website. I think it's called theminimalists.com if you want to check them out. But this documentary was about them. They were doing a tour going around the country talking about minimalism. And essentially it is basically strip out the things in your life that don't give you joy, that aren't useful to you in some way. And of course I thought, well, are they advocating getting rid of just, materialistic things? Because they talk a lot about materialism and consumerism. They're not anti-capitalist or in any way, but they're just advocating basically simplifying what's in your life and to stop chasing things. Don't fill your life up with things. Just make sure the things that you do keep in your life are the things that make you happy or bring you some joy or, are important to you in some way. And of course, when I first started watching this, I'm thinking, are they basically, in my case, should I get rid of all my comics? Which I would not do. I don't care even no matter how much I would subscribe to this kind of thinking, I would not do that. But that's not at all what they're saying. They actually had an example in there where somebody came to them, and they were talking about this with another group, but somebody came up to them and said, I love books. I love the feel of books. I love the smell of books. I love reading books, and I have all these books. Are you saying I need to get rid of them? And they're like, no. Do they bring you joy? Yes. Then keep them. So I kind of like this this particular minimalist approach. And so I'm going to start thinking about this a little bit more, and maybe there's some things I can get rid of in my life. I mean, one of the things they talked about was how much time people spend on their phones and how disconnected we are from each other on a personal level, person to person level, because we're on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And that part of it, I have kind of taken to heart. I've taken a step back from how much time I spend, essentially on Twitter. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on Facebook anyway, but before now. But Twitter, I can sit there and scroll and scroll and scroll and read and comment and post and all that stuff. And so I have tried to not do that as much. And I kind of like it. I also turned off a lot of the notifications on my phone so that I'm not seeing as much. I'm not being pinged as much. And, it took a few days to, because I would like, I haven't got a notification. What's going on around me? What are my friends saying about this or that comic or whatever? And, after several days of this, I just kind of stopped caring so much about it. I'll still every once in a while, if I have, 5 or 10 minutes to kill, I'll look, but I'm not as attached to it, I think. And I like it much better. I already, this minimalism thing has affected me positively. So now if I could just get my wife to stop looking at her phone. Oh, well. Other things I've watched, because of Madison's birthday, she got a a movie that she really likes, The Greatest Showman. This is the Hugh Jackman movie where he plays P.T. Barnum. And we've watched it before, and I didn't like it. I liked some of the songs, but the movie itself, I did not care for that movie. I just didn't, especially Hugh Jackman's performance. I just, something about it just did not sit well with me. But Madison fell in love with it. She likes to listen to the soundtrack. And so over these last last few months since we saw the movie the first time, it's kind of grown on me. There's a few songs on there. Like I said before, I liked a few of the songs when I first watched it, but one of the songs is "This Is Me." It's kind of like it's an uplifting personal anthem, sung very well by the actress whose name escapes me. And then there's another song on there, sung by Lauren Allred, but that's not the actress in the movie. So the actress who did a fine job in the role. What is she? She plays Jenny something. Tilly? No. I don't remember now. Anyway, but the singer is Lauren Allred, and the song is Never Enough. And for some reason, that song really resonated with me, and I like listening to that one. But anyway, so Madison got this movie for her birthday, and we sat down a few days later and watched it again. And so I kind of reluctantly sat down and watched it because she wanted to do that with a family. And after watching it the second time, it's growing on me. I kind of liked it. Well, not kind of. I liked it a lot better, I should say. So I don't know. Give it a shot if you haven't watched it, or maybe if you have and you had a similar reaction as I did. Maybe watch it again and see if you change your mind like I did. Let's see, a couple of podcast recommendations. There's a podcast called Science Versus on it's the Gimlet Media, one of the Gimlet Media podcasts. There's a couple recently that I particularly liked. One was, it came out around Thanksgiving. It's looking at and trying to debunk the 7-minute workout. Now, I don't know that I actually heard of the 7-minute workout. I've heard probably have or heard something similar, but I thought, let's listen to this and see what the host has to say about it. And it turns out that the 7-minute workout actually probably is beneficial to you. So, there you go. You can feel good about doing a 7-minute workout, that you're actually getting some benefit out of it. It's probably not as great a benefit as the people who promote it says it is, but whatever. But I found it an interesting examination by the Science Versus host. And then they did another one on ancient aliens. Basically, did aliens help build the pyramids, for example? And they basically, spoiler alert, go listen to it. You can listen to the details, but spoiler alert, they debunk that theory, which is interesting because they interviewed the guy that basically has been promoting that theory for the last, I think, 35 years, something like that. He's written several books about it. And I find it funny because when they asked that question, the guy's like, his basic attitude, I'm horribly paraphrasing here and editorializing for that matter, but he basically said, I've written all these books. Of course it's true. I'm like, that logic is not sound. Anyway, I enjoyed the journey and the discovery of that show. And then I've recently, I don't know how I came across this. I think somebody mentioned it on another podcast I was listening to, and that pointed me to this. But this is Inglorious Treksperts. It's a relatively new podcast. I don't know when it came out exactly, but they only have about, a dozen, 15 or so episodes out. But this is a bunch of people who are, they work in film or television, and some of them have been involved directly with Star Trek in its various incarnations. And so they get together and they talk about various topics. They don't talk about the shows or the movies. Well, in a roundabout way they do, but it's not like a show by show examination podcast. It's very much a top. They pick a topic and they talk about it in relation to Star Trek in its various forms, and it's done very well, very professionally, and I like that. So check that out if you're a Star Trek fan. I recommend it. And then finally, this is I talked about this event that we went to last night, and this is the annual Christmas concert that's put on at the local university. It's done primarily by the music department, of which my daughter Brittany used to. She used to be a part of the program, and also before she went to college, she was a participant in this holiday concert since she was, grade school for sure. I don't remember how old she was now. That's terrible of me. But so we've been going to this concert for a long time, probably almost 2 decades now. And so this was Gabriella's first time. First time performing in it in the school choir that she is in. Not the first time that she's performed in it. She had a little cameo appearance with Brittany, I believe, during Brittany's final appearance in the concert. So that was really cool. Anyway, to me, this concert is, and it's always, I shouldn't say always, it's generally held the first weekend, if not the second, but generally the first weekend in December. And to me, that is the official start of the holiday season. So I always look forward to it. But like I said, I was so preoccupied with thinking about work that I did not enjoy it as much as I usually do. So, thanks a lot, work. Thanks a lot, brain. Anyway, so yeah, obviously you can't enjoy that. It's not something you can go consume. You had to be there, but I just wanted to mention it. I really like it. So now hopefully I can start to enjoy the holiday season as much as I can, considering what I said before about not liking December so much. Okay. Real quick before I go, I want to say thank you to a few people who on Twitter or on through email reached out to me about these more recent Gutters episodes, and saying that just letting me know that they've listened or they enjoyed it. So I want to say thank you to Daryl Taylor. He of the Taylor Network of Podcasts. So you go search for Daryl Taylor on Twitter and you'll find him, or you go to, I think it's TaylorNetworkPodcast.com. I might be wrong about that. Just search for Taylor Network of Podcasts and you'll find what Daryl is up to. So thanks for reaching out to me, Daryl. And then also Zed Ram, who tweeted at me saying, keep doing what you do and I'll keep listening. And I really appreciate that, Zed. Thank you. And then finally, Christopher Calloway of the Creator Talks podcast emailed me, and which he sent me a very nice email. I won't read it all, but he did say, you make Longbox Review unique by sharing your stories, your opinion, and your perspective. I thought that was a really nice message. So thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. Again, I'll highly encourage people. Please, reach out to me if you have questions for me about anything, even if it's comic related. I might answer those on on the main show. But anything at all, I'd love to engage with you, answer your questions. Anyway, if you have questions or comments, you can always send them my way. I'll remind people how in just a second. But before I do that, and before I go, I just want to say, because it is December, Christmas is coming, the holidays, generally speaking, for this time of year. I want to say happy holidays to everybody. For everybody who listens to the show, thank you so much for supporting the show and encouraging me to do things like this, or to keep doing things like this. So I very much appreciate that, and you guys are all pretty special and rock. So as we old fogies say, you guys rock. Anyway, if you'd like to get a hold of me, like I said, with questions or whatever, you can email me at longboxreview@gmail.com, or you can tweet at me or message me on Twitter at longboxreview. And, there's Facebook as well. Like I said, I don't really look at Facebook all that much, but if you reach out to me there, I will respond. Instagram as well. Those are the kind of the main ones, that I have out there. But anyway, please do so. And take care, everybody. I hope you have a great holiday season. There are some shows coming planned that are coming out here in December. But this is likely the last Gutters episode of the year. I'll come back probably in January to talk about my holiday or whatever else that comes my way. During that time, I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.